The barbarians had emerged. He had guessed right about the external threat. The barbarians walked out of the boundless mountain range and charged towards the Luori prefecture. Fortunately, the U-Nation was already prepared, be it the mobilization of the prefecture army or the dispatch of experts. The armies of the three prefectures in the southwest had gathered behind Sunset Cliff in Luori prefecture last night. Experts in the top ranks had also gathered in New Fate City early this morning. Apart from that, Su Jingxing also sent the leader of the Winged Ones, Sha Lu, to wait outside New Fate City. Sha Lu was in the Transcendent grade. After leaving the sealed area in the southern wilderness, he had been recovering his strength on Green Cloud Mountain. After half a year, Sha Lu had more or less recovered his strength. With Sha Lu holding the fort, even a Transcendent grade barbarian could be stopped. Su Jingxing's essence soul knew very well. The mastermind was causing internal and external trouble for the U-Nation, mainly to reduce his strength and prevent him from controlling the kingdom defending Jade Seal to fight. The other party did not want to destroy the U-Nation, but Su Jingxing. Therefore, be it barbarians or cyber wars, it would only be chaotic for a while. Su Jingxing's essence soul knew this, and so did Guan Zhonghua, Xiao Renwo, and the others. Therefore, in the face of the internal disturbance and external aggression, the cabinet did not panic at all. If they were really nervous, it was because they did not expect the mastermind to explode in advance. This explosion basically concluded that they already knew about Xiang Yilong's surrender. As such, the chaos that was supposed to erupt in the early hours of the night had been stirred up early in the morning. At the beginning of the online war, they were caught off guard and forced to retreat. However, after they returned to their senses, they quickly stabilized the situation. Gathering the cyber experts of the U-Nation and the original New Chu Nation to fight the hackers gathered by the mastermind. The two sides clashed fiercely on the internet. However, the government's resources were the government's resources after all. Before long, they stabilized the situation and gained the upper hand. Good news came from the Luori prefecture. Although the barbarians had left the mountain, they were intercepted at the periphery before they could even get close to Sunset Cliff. Cannon shells washed the ground, and there were countless casualties. Su Jingxing's essence soul had moved the blood doppelganger to Sunset Cliff last night. At this moment, the blood doppelganger had curled up into a mass and was wandering around the battlefield, extracting a large number of cards. Although he couldn't extract martial arts practice cards from the barbarians who rushed out of the boundless mountain range, he should be able to extract function cards like the Mighty Strength card, Essence Origin card, and Soul Separation card. Both the inside and outside were stable. Su Jingxing's essence soul left the capital and came to a mountain dozens of miles away, quietly waiting for the mastermind to arrive. Before long, in just half an hour, a black cloud appeared on the distant horizon. "Huh, Martial Sage Kong, are you specially waiting for me here?" A carefree laugh sounded. When the black cloud approached the mountain where Su Jingxing's essence soul was, it dissipated into nothingness, revealing two figures stepping into the air. One of them, a middle-aged man with half-white hair, a ruddy complexion, and a hot and cold aura, stared at Su Jingxing's essence soul standing on the mountain peak from a distance and laughed loudly. Tu Anbang from the Xianin sect greets Martial Sage Kong. Tu Anbang. Su Jingxing's essence soul replied indifferently, "Is this how you bring stability to the Nation One?" Inwardly, realization dawned on it. It guessed right again. The mastermind was from a large overseas faction. This Xianin sect was one of the four major sects overseas. It had been established for less than 300 years, but it was comparable to the other three top factions that had been around for more than 2,000 years. As for Tu Anbang, Yu Xiangtian, Gong Juanlian, and the others had also mentioned that he was the previous sect master of the Xianin sect. In the soul fixation realm. As for which class of soul fixation, they couldn't be sure. In any case, more than 60 years ago, when Tu Anbang abdicated the position of sect master, he was already in the third class of soul fixation. Apart from himself, no one else knew what level he had reached. Presumably, it was the 5th or 6th class. What interested Su Jingxing's essence soul was that Tu Anbang seemed to have it in his grasp. He did not launch a sneak attack, nor did he hide his identity. It was as if the identity of the U-Nation's new martial sage was already in his pocket. Huh, you must be joking, Martial Sage Kong. If I can stabilize the nation with my name, what's the point of cultivating? Tu Anbang laughed heartily and said, on the other hand, do you wear a mask all day long because you're too handsome and afraid that exposing your looks will harm the tens of thousands of young women in the U-Nation, keeping them from eating and sleeping? Ha ha ha. Su Jingxing's essence soul did not respond and just looked at him indifferently. Looks like I was right. Martial Sage Kong is extraordinarily handsome. I'm so envious. Tu Anbang was still full of smiles, as if he didn't see Su Jingxing's essence soul's indifference. Unlike me. I'm already so old that I'm about to be buried. I can't attract young girls anymore. Martial Sage Kong is so handsome. You must be very tired, right? It must be depressing that you cannot show your face to others. Huh, if it were anyone else, they would also have a headache over this. However, there is a solution that will make this easy to resolve. That is getting someone to help guard the U-Nation on your behalf. I happen to be free. I have nothing to do all day and I'm wandering around. If you don't mind, I'm willing to help you hold the kingdom defending Jade Seal for a few years so that you can relax. What do you think, Martial Sage Kong? Tu Anbang looked at Su Jingxing's essence soul with a smile. Su Jingxing's essence soul was indifferent. The old thing finally got to his goal after beating around the bush for a long time. Hold the kingdom defending Jade Seal on his behalf. How thick-skinned of him to say that. However, the transcendent grade martial artist had lived for more than 100 years, nearly 200 years. He had long lost his face. Now it was obvious that he wanted Su Jingxing's essence soul to abdicate and give up its position. He was clearly very confident in himself. Kill Su Jingxing's essence soul and become the new martial sage of the U-Nation. Silence. Silence. After Tu Anbang finished speaking, Su Jingxing's essence soul did not respond for a long time. Tu Anbang was fine. He maintained a smile on his face without any impatience. Behind him was a young man with reddish-brown pupils. His face was cold and his gaze quickly turned overcast. Kong Xian, is it? Giving you face is giving you a chance. Do you think you can counter us just because you have the kingdom defending Jade Seal? Let me tell you, the internet invasion and the barbarian invasion are just the beginning. We're negotiating with you because we don't want too many people to die. Otherwise, with Xiang Yilong's betrayal, we would have wiped out Qingtian City long ago. It's the same for you. We've given you a chance, so take it. Don't be so shameless. The young man scanned Su Jingxing's essence soul with a sinister gaze and kept spewing threats towards it. Su Jingxing's essence soul lifted its eyelids slightly and glanced at him before looking at Tu Anbang. Is this your dog? What did you say? Killing intent shot out from the young man's eyes. Tu Anbang also frowned. Martial Sage Kong, you're also in the transcendent grade. Can you watch your words? He isn't your dog, asked Su Jingxing's essence soul. Shut up. Tu Anbang glared at the young man and said coldly, of course he's not. Swish. 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 3 sword-shaped beams of light suddenly shot out from under the Thunder Dragon Eye Guard at lightning speed towards the young man. Bang! The first was intercepted by Tu Anbang and destroyed with a single palm strike. Boom! The second struck a light barrier that suddenly lit up in front of the young man and was destroyed along with it. Chi! The third pierced through the young man's chest and back, carrying him away. He disappeared completely as if he had never appeared. Card +1. An extraction notification flashed past. At this moment, Su Jingxing's essence soul looked at Tu Anbang and said calmly, "Since he's not your dog, I'll teach him a lesson for you. He's a dog that barks non-stop without its owner saying anything. I'm sure Sect Master Tu won't feel any heartache if I kill it, right?" The wind had stopped. Time seemed to have stopped as well. In the sky, on the ground, and among the mountains, everything fell silent. On the mountain peak, Su Jingxing's essence soul looked at Tu Anbang with a seeking gaze after asking its question. It seemed to be waiting for Tu Anbang's reply. "Who?" Tu Anbang exhaled. White airflow materialized from his mouth and surrounded his body before dissipating in the air in front of him. The alternating hot and cold aura suddenly disappeared. His eyes turned from black to reddish-brown, and a manic and gloomy aura was slowly born. "Martial Sage Kong, even if he's a dog, you have to ask for my permission before you kill him." With a low roar, Tu Anbang's figure suddenly disappeared. He crossed the air and arrived behind Su Jingxing's essence soul. Buzz! A black palm imprint appeared out of thin air and struck the outer layer of the Thunder Dragon bone armor. Then it disappeared. The black palm imprint disappeared into nothingness. Su Jingxing's essence soul stood still without any change in its aura. It was as if the black palm imprint had struck a solid wall instead of it. It slowly turned around. Su Jingxing's essence soul lifted its head slightly and spoke calmly to the shocked Tu Anbang. "That's it. That's it." Two simple words, but when Tu Anbang heard it, endless humiliation erupted from the bottom of his heart and surged into his mind. "You're courting death." The fake smile on Tu Anbang's face completely disappeared, and mad killing intent soared into the sky. Hoo. Energy spiraled around him, stirring the air and producing visible ripples. Red earth heart-splitting claw. With a roar, Tu Anbang's figure flashed and split into hundreds of figures. They surrounded Su Jingxing's essence soul and launched an all-round attack. They were black claw shadows that contained the aura of death. They were sinister and terrifying, like ghost claws that covered the sky and earth. They poured down crazily on the Thunder Dragon bone armor covering the essence soul. Then, all the claw shadows disappeared silently like the palm imprints earlier. Wanted to kill Su Jingxing's essence soul. It couldn't even break through the outer shell. "You want to replace me as the kingdom-defending martial sage of the U-Nation with just such capabilities?" The essence soul's indifferent voice sounded in the air. Tu Anbang listened and watched as the hundreds of figures shook in unison. How is that possible? How could this be? Disbelief shot out from his reddish-brown pupils. Tu Anbang could not suppress the shock in his heart. He knew that the hideous battle armor Kong Xian wore every time he appeared was unusual. It was a soul treasure. But his earlier attack wasn't weak either. The red earth heart-splitting claw was a soul skill. Before this, Tu Anbang had relied on it to kill two martial artists in the transcendent grade and powerful monsters that had emerged from the void world. The hideous battle armor on Kong Xian has strong defense, but it's impossible that not even a claw mark was left behind. Where did Kong Xian get such a soul armor? In any case, it could not have been left behind by Xia Tsangxuan. In order to extend his lifespan, Xia Tsangxuan had sacrificed and refined all his treasures. Most people in the transcendent grade knew about this. The reason why no transcendent grade experts invaded the U-Nation and seized the nation's fate at that time was because, firstly, the U-Nation had yet to annex New Chu and had less than 2 billion citizens. Secondly, they were wary of Xia Tsangxuan's final counterattack. Not many people were willing to endure the madness of these old transcendent grade martial artists who were unwilling to die. It wasn't until Kong Xian appeared that people coveted the U-Nation again. Even if Kong Xian quickly killed Xiang Qingtian's physical body and injured his essence soul to establish his might and become famous in the eastern continent, it would not stop ambitious people from spying on him. Tu Anbang was one of them. He knew very well that Kong Xian had relied on the trump card left behind by Xia Zhangshuan to kill Xiang Qingtian's physical body. Such trump cards were often one-time use. Even if there were any remaining, Tu Anbang was not afraid because he was in the 7th class of soul fixation. Unlike Xiang Qingtian, who had just broken through to the soul fixation realm a few years ago. Therefore, when Nation annexed the new Chu nation, Tu Anbang did not want to wait any longer. If he waited any longer, he wouldn't be the only one getting the spoils. In Tu Anbang's estimation, Kong Xian had at most reached the 5th class of the Void Soul realm. He completely relied on the trump card left behind by Xia Zhangshuan and the kingdom-defending Jade Seal to guard the Nation. The Nation's population was nearly 5 billion people after annexing New Chu. With this strength, under the control of the kingdom-defending Jade Seal, even a soul formation cultivator might not be able to do anything to Kong Xian. For this, Tu Anbang had paid a considerable price to stir up trouble in the Nation and destroy stability. Kong Xian would lose the protection of the nation's fate and be left unable to fight with the nation's mental power. It could be said that he would then be able to do whatever he wanted with him. Tu Anbang had never thought that he wouldn't even be able to break through Kong Xian's defense. Su Jingxing's essence soul had also never thought that Tu Anbang's attacks would be so weak. What red earth heart-splitting claw? Even though it's a soul skill, given Tu Anbang's mastery of it, he has probably only reached the level where he can use it with ease and not even the advanced level. It would be a miracle if this bit of strength can break through the defense of the Thunder Dragon bone armor. Is that all the mighty sect master of the Shenin sect can do? Su Jingxing's essence soul spoke again and mocked, I can give you another chance to attack and let you unleash your strongest attack. You. Tu Anbang's reddish-brown pupils turned redder, blood red. The cold aura on his body suddenly turned scorching. Boom! A loud bang erupted in the air. Tu Anbang's hundreds of phantoms returned to one great dark heavenly yin finger. Accompanied by a suppressed furious roar, Tu Anbang's entire body turned illusory. He gathered all his strength at one point and then shattered space at an extreme speed, rushing in front of Su Jingxing's essence soul. At this moment, the essence soul sensed danger. In the Thunder Dragon's vision, it saw a transparent finger that seemed to be able to destroy everything descending from the distant horizon. The moment it appeared, Su Jingxing's essence soul was locked onto. It could not dodge. Since it couldn't dodge, it naturally had to counterattack. Whoosh! The sky suddenly became extremely bright. Su Jingxing's essence soul faced the finger that tore through the air and circulated the Tiangang demon suppression hand to the extreme. Snow-white imprints instantly swarmed out like snowflakes. Pa! 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 Bam! 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 White light, endless white light drowned everything. Space cracked and separated inch by inch. The mountain peak beneath the essence soul's feet melted silently like ice cream under the scorching sun. No. Crescent Island. One of the large overseas islands. It was located in the southern part of the Eastern Sea and had a permanent population of about 1 million people. These people were all descendants of people who had migrated from land over countless years for various reasons. The residents of the overseas islands were basically from land, a small portion from the western continent and most from the eastern continent. Today, they had already become natives of the various islands. Due to geography, Crescent Island happened to be stuck at the intersection between the eastern, southern, and the high seas with 3 ocean currents flowing through it. As such, there was frequent population movement and it was one of the 2 most prosperous islands overseas. It was named Crescent Island because the overall shape of the island resembled a crescent moon. Although Crescent Island was very prosperous, it was overseas after all. The convenience of the information era did not cover this island. At most, only a portion of the area was influenced. For example, there were also high-end hotels, villas, yacht clubs, and so on the island. It was naturally equipped with an internet network as well, but it was a self-contained system that was not connected to land. As a result, it would take a day or two for information from land to reach the island. However, some important information was transmitted directly through a rare treasure without using the internet. The island would learn about them in a few minutes. Such important information included the previous martial sage of the Yu nation, Kong Xian, killing Niu Chu's martial sage, Xiang Qingtian. Before Xiang Qingtian's essence soul died, it entrusted Niu Chu to Kong Xian. As well as, how the Yu nation, which had annexed Niu Chu, was being attacked by an unknown opponent. The internet network was invaded, the barbarians were invading. It was being attacked both internally and externally. After this news spread to Crescent Island, within a few minutes, it spread to every corner of the island covered by the internet network. Then, everyone who received the notification became excited. F***CK, which faction did this? The barbarians have been mobilized. No matter what the reason is, these people deserve to die for colluding with the barbarians. That's right. The barbarians are our mortal enemy. They led the barbarians to invade us, the mastermind's entire family ought to be wiped out. Are the barbarians mentioned really that powerful? What are you asking? Haven't your ancestors shared about the ferocity of the barbarians? There's no need to argue with him. It's normal for people born on the island to have never heard of the barbarians. Normal my ass. You don't even know about the barbarians. Are you still human? Watch your words. What's wrong with what I said? Did I say something wrong? You don't even know about the barbarians. Did you not receive an education? Even if you haven't, you should have read the history books, right? Even if not, you should have heard someone speak about it, right? If you don't know anything, are you still human? You. 2ID*OTS over there are arguing. You already said that they're ID*OTS. Ignore them. Let's talk about who the Yu nation has offended. They're actually attacking from the inside and out at once. What grudge do they have that they need to be so ruthless? There's no grudge or grievance. It's simply because Yu nation is too enviable now. What do you mean? You don't need to know what I mean. In any case, big changes will be coming to the Yu nation state power soon. F***CK, would it kill you to be clearer? I'm sorry, if I make myself clear, you will really die. It's starting. In a modern seaside villa in the southeast corner of Crescent Island, in a spacious and bright hall, a middle-aged man in a white suit with neat oiled hair was sitting on the sofa. He looked at the contents about the chaos in the Yu nation on the big screen television and grinned. Tu Jinglai has been planning for so long. It has finally begun. Big Brother G, do you think they will succeed? A gentle and pleasant female voice sounded. Not far away from the middle-aged man, a long-haired woman in her 30s with an impressive figure and a long dress was watching the television. She asked curiously, although Kong Xian from the Yu nation has just advanced to the transcendent grade, he's not weak. I heard that Xia Tsangxuan left him many good things. Xia Tsangxuan might have left something for him, but it definitely won't be many, or perhaps, only one. The middle-aged man leaned against the sofa and smiled. As for this rare treasure, Kong Xian should have used up most of it already. Because of Xiang Qingtian, asked the long-haired woman gently. That's right. The middle-aged man chuckled. Xiang Qingtian's existence exposed Kong Xian's trump card. That's why Tu Jinglai plotted against the Yu nation and tried to move the Xianin sect to Qingtian city to seize his place. In that case, Kong Xian will definitely lose. The long-haired woman frowned slightly. No, the middle-aged man shook his head. It's too early to say who will win now. Kong Xian appeared too suddenly without any warning. It was as if he didn't exist before, but he suddenly became the martial sage of the Yu nation and inherited Xia Tsangxuan's position. Such a person definitely has a secret, and it's not a small one. The long-haired woman pondered for a moment before her eyes lit up. Brother Ji, are you referring to the fact that Kong Xian has obtained the legacy of a primordial spirit old monster? That's hard to say. The middle-aged man laughed. I don't know if Kong Xian obtained the legacy or not. I only know that it won't be that easy for Tu Anbang to kill him. It won't be that easy. The long-haired woman seemed to be deep in thought. She glanced at the middle-aged man with her beautiful eyes. Suddenly, the corners of her lips curled up as she congratulated, "Congratulations on cultivating the free and unfettered secret records to near perfection, Big Brother G." Ha ha ha. The middle-aged man laughed out loud. Thank you, Sister Tao. It took me 80 years to finally master the secret records. It wasn't easy. It's indeed not easy. The long-haired woman nodded in understanding. I've been cultivating the world's end intent for almost 90 years, but I haven't achieved near perfection. I don't know when I'll be able to achieve my goal. Sigh. Sister Tao, don't worry. Given your aptitude, you'll be able to achieve it in another 10 years at most, comforted the middle-aged man. I hope it's as Brother Ji said. Tao Wanru smiled wryly. Tao Wanru, the Crescent Island representative of the World's End Court, one of the 4 major overseas factions. Transcendent grade, 7th class of the Void Soul Realm. As for the middle-aged man, his name was Ji Haisheng. He was the Crescent Island representative of the Xiaoyao Palace, one of the 4 major overseas factions. He was also in the Transcendent grade and was in the 9th class of the Void Soul Realm. The 4 major overseas factions were the Xiaoyao Palace, the World's End Court, the Azura Palace, and the Xianin sect. Among them, Xiaoyao Palace was the furthest from land and was located in the high seas. The World's End Court was in the South Sea, and the Azura Palace was in the north of the North Sea. The Xianin sect was located between the Eastern Sea and the high seas. Due to the special location of Crescent Island, expatriates of the Xiaoyao Palace and the World's End Court were stationed on the island all year round so that they could receive information from the land in time. Of course, Ji Haisheng and Tao Wanru were not needed for real work. Their subordinates would handle it. Ji Haisheng and Tao Wanru were mostly out traveling and would not stay on the island for long periods. After all, martial artists in the Transcendent grade were not a dime a dozen. Be it the Xiaoyao Palace or the World's End Court, they had a limited number of Transcendent grade experts. This time, Ji Haisheng and Tao Wanru had gathered at the seaside villa because they knew about the Xianin sect scheme. A month ago, the 2 of them had remained on Crescent Island to wait for news. Until today, when news of the U-Nation's chaos was sent back. After a moment of silence, Tao Wanru asked, 2 days ago, I think I sensed Tu Jinglai arriving on Crescent Island. Brother Ji, did you notice anything? He's here. Ji Haisheng chuckled. Tu Jinglai isn't the only one here. Old Ghostly from the Azura Palace is also here. However, the former is to guard Tu Anbang's physical body, while the latter is to watch for an opportunity. Watch for an opportunity. Tao Wanru was puzzled. It's understandable that Tu Zhenglai is guarding Tu Anbang's physical body. What do you mean by Old Ghostly is watching for an opportunity? Suddenly, Tao Wanru thought of something. Without waiting for Ji Haisheng to speak, she asked in surprise, wait, is Old Ghostly trying to be the Oriole behind the mantis stalking the cicada? You guessed right. Ji Haisheng laughed out loud. Given my understanding of Old Ghostly, that's his plan. If Tu Anbang wins in the U-Nation and kills Kong Xian, Old Ghostly will take action. He will kill Tu Anbang's physical body here, then go to the U-Nation and destroy his essence soul. He will replace Tu Anbang and become the kingdom-defending martial sage of the U-Nation. These people, Tao Wanru shook her head. I really don't know what to say. Is being the kingdom-defending martial sage of the U-Nation that good? Well, half and half. Ji Haisheng's eyes flickered. For transcendent grade martial artists like us who have sex, it's not bad. Those independent martial artists or those old ghostly. An angry shout suddenly came from the sky outside the window. Boom! The sound of space exploding and shattering followed closely after. An invisible but terrifying pressure swept through the entire island and enveloped everyone's hearts. On Crescent Island, other than Jingxing and Tao Wanru, everyone else was sprawled on the ground, still in shock and terrified. Swoosh! Whoosh! Jingxing, who was talking, exchanged glances with Tao Wanru. In a flash, they rushed out of the manor and into the air, looking towards the west of Crescent Island. In their vision, two figures were fighting and colliding at an extremely fast speed, breaking space and crushing mountains. Below the two figures, a figure was quickly shuttling through the mountains, fleeing in a sorry state. That's right, in a sorry state. Is that Tu Anbang? Tao Wanru looked surprised and frowned. Why is Tu Anbang's physical body running around? Those two in the sky are Tu Zhenglai and Old Ghostly, right? Why are they fighting? Wait, is Old Ghostly attacking Tu Anbang's physical body? Tao Wanru's mouth fell open. You didn't see wrongly. Old Ghostly is chasing after Tu Anbang's physical body, and Tu Zhenglai is stopping him. Jingxing's eyes lit up. As he spoke, his body flickered with a glow. His hair was disheveled and scattered. However, Jingxing didn't care. Instead, he said excitedly, "Gone, Tu Anbang's essence soul is gone." What? Tao Wanru was shocked. What did you say, Brother Ji? Tu Anbang's essence soul is gone. Is it dead? Was it killed by the Unation's Kongxian? Most likely. Jingxing took a deep breath and said seriously, I didn't expect this, I really didn't expect this. Tu Anbang actually failed. The essence soul of Tu Anbang, who was at least in the 5th class of soul fixation, actually died at the hands of the Unation's Kongxian. Well, Tao Wanru gaped, not knowing what to say. Boom! 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 Loud bangs continued to sound from the west of Crescent Island. In the sky, pieces of space shattered and repaired in the battle between two transcendent grade experts. The mountains on the ground collapsed one after another under the impact of the energy fluctuations. Fortunately, the western side of Crescent Island was filled with strange rocks and peaks. There were few residences. Otherwise, this exchange alone would have killed everyone. Even so, Tu Anbang's physical body kept moving towards the center of the island, guiding the battle in the air towards the center. Everywhere it passed, the ground cracked, rivers severed, and energies wreaked havoc. No, we can't let them come to the center of the island. Tao Wanru frowned and shouted when she saw Tu Anbang's physical body. Tu Anbang's physical body was being pursued by Old Ghostly. He wanted to run into the gathering point and lure Jingxing and Tao Wanru to attack and defeat Old Ghostly. This was because Crescent Island was a jointly built island by the 4 major factions. A long time ago, the Xiaoyao Palace, the World's End Court, and the Azura Palace had set a rule that no killing was allowed on the island. Be it ordinary people, martial artists, or experts in the top ranks, they were not allowed to fight. Not to mention those in the transcendent grade. Old Ghostly was chasing after Tu Anbang's physical body, but he was not actually exerting much strength. Otherwise, given the destructive power of the transcendent grade, if he were to attack with his full strength, he would have long sunk Crescent Island, completely collapsing it into countless pieces. Jingxing and Tao Wanru were more than happy to watch the show as Tu Anbang's physical body escaped. However, if this old fellow wanted to enter the center area, the gathering point, it would be detestable. I'll stop them. As Tao Wanru spoke, her figure flashed and she was about to go over. Wait. Jingxing's expression changed drastically. He looked at the northern sky. There's a situation over there. A transcendent grade expert is crossing space. Who? Tao Wanru was stunned. Who would come at this time? Boom! A dull explosion sounded like thunder from the 9 heavens. The terrifying sound reverberated through the entire island. As the space north of Crescent Island distorted, a figure in hideous battle armor suddenly walked out. Tu Anbang. Su Jingxing's essence soul stepped in the air and scanned the sky and ground with its thunder dragon vision. In a few moments, it locked onto Tu Anbang's physical body and growled. Found you. Swoosh. In a flash, it crossed space and arrived above Tu Anbang's physical body. With a grab, it released its soul power and condensed it into a claw imprint that grabbed Tu Anbang's physical body in its palm. Stop. In the air, Tu Zhenglai shouted in shock, no. Martial Sage Kong, show mercy. We are willing to compensate you. As long as you state it, no matter what it is, the Xianin sect will definitely offer it to you with both hands. I hope Martial Sage Kong can show mercy and spare us this time. Yes, yes. Martial Sage Kong, please, please spare us. Tu Anbang, whose face was flushed red, held his breath and shouted in grief and indignation, I was wrong, Martial Sage Kong, please spare my life. I was really wrong. Martial Sage Kong, please spare my life. Although his voice was soft, who were Ji Haisheng, Tao Wanru, and Old Ghostly. Their transcendent grade allowed them to listen to the entire island. As such, when they heard Tu Anbang's humble and fearful pleas for mercy, Ji Haisheng and Tao Wanru were both shocked and in disbelief. Old Ghostly's eyes, which were shrouded in darkness, also flashed rapidly. Martial Sage Kong. Tu Zhenglai and Tu Anbang both addressed him as Martial Sage Kong. Together with the familiar hideous battle armor, this was none other than the Yu Nation's martial sage, Kong Xian. Kong Xian actually pursued Tu Anbang to Crescent Island. Killing his essence soul wasn't enough, he wanted to destroy his physical body as well. However, in his shoes, Kong Xian did this to prevent future trouble. If the roots were not removed when cutting grass, they would grow again in the spring breeze. Since he had already killed the essence soul, he naturally had to get rid of the physical body as well. Didn't you see that Tu Anbang's physical body was guarding Crescent Island instead of remaining in Xianin sect's main camp? Tu Anbang was doing this to provide stronger power for the essence soul. Although there was a connection between the physical body and the essence soul, the further away they were, the more difficult it was to circulate soul power. Not everyone was like Su Jingxing. He had extracted a soul-splitting card that allowed his physical body and essence soul to be unaffected by each other across space. For most martial artists in the transcendent grade realms, the physical body and essence soul would not be far away from each other. Tu Anbang's physical body was on Crescent Island because the headquarters of the Xianin sect was too far away from the Yu Nation. Now that Su Jingxing's essence soul was here, Tu Anbang could only admit defeat. Wrong. In the air, Su Jingxing's essence soul glanced at Tu Zhenglai and then at Tu Anbang's physical body. Why yes, I was wrong. We are willing to compensate. Tu Anbang held his breath and spoke with difficulty. Compensate? Su Jingxing's essence soul glanced at Tu Zhenglai again and said coldly, what's your name? Who are you to this old fellow? I'm Tu Zhenglai. Gritting his teeth, Tu Zhenglai chose to be honest and introduced himself. I'm the current sect master of the Xianin sect. Tu Anbang, whom you're holding, is my father. I see. Su Jingxing's essence soul nodded in realization. In the next moment, the claw imprint that imprisoned Tu Anbang's body suddenly exerted force. Bam! Pieces of flesh flew everywhere, and blood rained down. Card +1. No! Tu Zhenglai screamed, his eyes red. He roared in grief and indignation, Kong Xian, you're asking for. Swoosh! 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 Su Jingxing's essence soul lifted its head. The Thunder Dragon Eye Guard shot out 3 sword-shaped beams of light that tore through space and pounced towards Tu Jinglai. It was too fast. Tu Jinglai, who was filled with grief and indignation, had no time to dodge. Bang! The first sword-shaped light beam struck the barrier that appeared on Tu Jinglia's body and collapsed with it. Pelch! The second sword-shaped light beam pierced through Tu Jinglia's chest and through the Essence Soul's body. Tu Jinglia's Essence Soul body swayed and flickered. It turned illusory, materialized, and repeatedly switched. Before it could turn illusory and escape, the third sword-shaped light beam arrived and pierced through Tu Jinglia's chest again, doubling the size of the wound. Boom! Boom! White light bloomed and swept through the air. Su Jingxing's Essence Soul waved its hand and executed the Tiangang Demon Suppression Hand. It struck Tu Jinglia's Essence Soul that was constantly changing between being illusory and material. The swarming white light instantly drowned Tu Jinglai. When Ji Haixing, Tao Wanru, and Old Ghostly regained their vision and looked towards Tu Jinglai, he had already disappeared. Not a single residue was left behind. They were all dead. Card +1. The extraction notification flashed past, and the sky and ground were silent. Ji Haixing, Tao Wanru, and Old Ghostly were all silent. To be precise, they were stunned. 3 sword beams and a palm imprint. Tu Jinglai did not even have a chance to attack before his Essence Soul body was killed. How could someone with such strength have just advanced to the Transcendent grade? Void Soul. Soul fixation was more like it. Dead silence. The air was terrifyingly quiet. Su Jingxing's Essence Soul circulated the 6 comets records to deduce the location of Tu Jinglia's physical body and remained silent. Since he did not speak, Old Ghostly naturally did not dare to make a sound or escape. Who knew if Su Jingxing's Essence Soul would treat him as Tu Jinglia's accomplice and kill him if he moved around recklessly? Tu Jinglai was in the 7th class of the Void Soul realm. He could not resist at all. Old Ghostly, who was in the 8th class of the Void Soul realm, did not think that he could escape from the hands of Su Jingxing's Essence Soul. However, not daring to move did not mean that Old Ghostly would resign himself to fate and place his chance of survival in the hands of Su Jingxing's Essence Soul, determined by Kong Xian's preferences. I'm Li Motzong. I'm from the Azura Palace. Greetings, Martial Sage Kong. Old Ghostly made his stand clear. He was not on the same side as Tu Jinglai and Tu Anbang. To that, the Essence Soul, which had just received the deduction outcome, glanced at him and remained silent. The next moment, its body turned illusory and it left through the air. It headed straight for the headquarters of the Xianin sect, the Xianin Islands. Tu Jinglia's physical body was left in the headquarters of the Xianin sect. It had already killed Tu Anbang and Tu Jinglia's Essence Souls. Naturally, it had to get rid of Tu Jinglia's physical body as well. When cutting grass, one had to dig up the roots. Who? Su Jingxing's Essence Soul left. Old Ghostly sensed his surroundings for a while. After confirming that this Kong Xian had really left Crescent Island, he exhaled and relaxed. The face under the black robe distorted and struggled. The light in his eyes flickered quickly as he fell into deep thought. Moments later, he also turned illusory and rushed to the Xianin Islands. They're gone. Tao Wanru, who was watching from afar, swallowed her saliva and retracted her gaze. She said in disbelief, "This Kong Xian is so powerful. He's at least in the soul fixation realm. Moreover, his cultivation is above the 6th class. Brother Ji, you were right earlier. This person is too mysterious." He suddenly appeared. How long has it been since he took over the Unation? He has already advanced to the 6th class. After a pause, Tao Wanru's eyes lit up. She took a deep breath and said, "Did he really inherit the legacy of some ancient primordial spirit realm expert? I don't know if he has a legacy. Beside him, Ji Haixing's body surged with light, and his eyes shone brightly. He said sarcastically, "All I know is that this martial sage Kong is extraordinarily bold." Tao Wanru was stunned for a moment before she reacted. Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Big brother Ji, are you saying?" "That's right. This Kong Xian, martial sage Kong, has gone to the Xianin Islands." Ji Haixing looked a little excited. Not only did he kill Tu Anbang, he also wants to completely destroy Tu Jinglai. Perhaps the entire Xianin sect will also be wiped out. But the Xianin sect still has a transcendent grade expert. Tao Wanru was also a little agitated, inexplicably excited. If I remember correctly, the Xianin Patriarch is still alive. He is in the soul formation realm. It said that he has already touched the threshold of the primordial spirit realm and is about to cross it and become a primordial spirit. If Kong Xian ends things here and returns to the Unation, the Xianin Patriarch might not find trouble with him. Isn't giving chase him to the Xianin Islands forcing the Patriarch to take action? That's why I said he's bold. Ji Haixing took a deep breath and said excitedly, "If the Xianin sect wants to kill him, he will destroy the entire sect." However, what he doesn't know is that the true core of the Xianin sect has never been Tu Jinglai, nor is it Tu Anbang. Instead, it is the Xianin Patriarch who is still alive today. Come, let's go to the Xianin Islands too. Let's see whether Kong Xian will destroy the sect or will this martial sage Kong thus disappear. Xianin Islands. It was an island chain consisting of more than 200 islands of various sizes. A long time ago, this place was not called the Xianin Islands. It only changed its name after it was occupied by the Xianin sect. There were more than 200 islands, and more than 50 were suitable for human habitation. Among them, there was a large island near the east that was the headquarters of the Xianin sect. In the southwest area of the island stood old-style buildings, mainly palaces. At this moment, on the top floor of a 3-story hall, the current sect master of the Xianin sect, Tu Jinglai, who was originally resting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face also turned pale in an instant. It was absolutely colorless. Ah! D** Ned Kong Xian. D** Ned Kong Xian. Holding his head with his hand, Tu Jinglai raised his head and roared in pain. His open eyes were bloodshot. However, amidst the anger and grievance, there was also a trace of fear. His father, Tu Anbang, was actually killed by Kong Xian. Both his physical body and essence soul were killed. Tu Anbang was dead. His son who had followed him to the Unation was most likely dead too. Tu Jinglia's own essence soul was also wiped out. And that D** Ned Kong Xian was currently rushing towards the Xianin Islands. An invisible danger materialized and wrapped around Tu Jinglai. He knew that Kong Xian was here without needing to deduce. This D** Ned martial sage of the Unation was determined to completely destroy him for the sake of revenge. The entire Xianin sect would not be able to escape either. Heh heh heh. Enduring the pain in his consciousness and soul, Tu Jinglai thought of something and sneered sinisterly. Come on, come on. After you arrive, you can be buried here. Gritting his teeth, Tu Jinglai stood up and staggered towards the window. Time was tight, and he couldn't care less about taking the stairs. Tu Jinglai leaped out of the window and crashed onto the ground, creating a pit. Then, in a flash, he flew towards the shore before the disciples of the Xianin sect who came to check the commotion arrived. Swoosh! Like a cannonball, Tu Jinglai leaped up from the square and rushed towards the steps of a mountain path. With another leap, he arrived on the shore. Instead of boarding the yacht docked at the pier, Tu Jinglai continued charging forward. Whoosh! The seawater parted. Under Tu Jinglia's rapid sprint, a passageway was forcefully paved on the surface of the sea. Splash! Splash! Whoosh! 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 The sea breeze swept and the waves crashed. Tu Jinglai changed his direction slightly, and his speed kept increasing. As time passed, the pain brought about by the destruction of the essence soul slowly faded. Dozens of miles ahead of Tu Jinglai, a dark island stood quietly. Tu Jinglia's goal was to reach this island. However, buzz! Above the sea, the air suddenly distorted, and a figure in hideous battle armor appeared. Su Jingxing's essence soul walked out and scanned the sky and sea with the Thunder Dragon's vision. In the next moment, it locked onto Tu Jinglia's physical body, which was flying through the seawater. Humph! With a low shout, Su Jingxing's essence soul stepped out into the air. In 2 steps it was above Tu Jinglia's physical body. It condensed his soul power and formed a giant palm imprint that grabbed at Tu Jinglia's body. Get lost! Tu Jinglai snarled in fear and surprise. In the next second, he mobilized all his strength and roared forward. Ancestor! Xianin is about to be annihilated. The word annihilated was vast and mighty. It materialized and instantly rushed out on the surface of the sea, spreading into the distance. Ancestor! In the air, Su Jingxing's essence soul raised its eyebrows and grabbed Tu Jinglia's physical body. Your Xianin sect also has an ancestor. That's right. Kong, you're dead meat. Tu Jinglai struggled and snarled, the ancestor of the Xianin sect is our founder. He's a semi-step primordial spirit existence. You killed my father and son, and now you want to kill me. You're dead meat, and your nation is about to be destroyed. Destroyed? Su Jingxing's essence soul chuckled. You dare to say that you want to destroy the nation with just a semi-step primordial spirit? Swoosh! A ray of black light soared into the sky from afar. Who? 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 Strong wind swept and the seawater surged. The black light that arrived at the horizon carried a terrifying pressure. In an instant, it crossed dozens of miles and arrived 100 meters away from Su Jingxing's essence soul. Yes. The old voice echoed between the sky and sea. I will destroy your nation. The black gas enveloped his entire body, and his face could not be seen clearly. However, a cold, sinister, and dead aura spread out in all directions. Ha ha ha. Su Jingxing's essence soul did not speak, but Tu Jinglai could not help but laugh out loud. Kong Xian, this is the ancestor of the Xianin sect. Tu Jinglai greets the ancestor. Please forgive me, Jinglai is currently restrained and cannot. Bang! With an explosion, Tu Jinglia's words trailed off. Under the immense force, his entire physical body shattered into pieces, splattering in midair and falling into the sea. Card +1. After the extraction notification flashed, Su Jingxing's essence soul retracted its remaining strength and turned slightly to face the Xianin patriarch. Buzz! 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 At the right time, 3 figures appeared in the air not far behind. Old Ghostly, Ji Haisheng, and Tao Wanru crossed through space in pursuit and appeared. As soon as they appeared, they saw Su Jingxing's essence soul crush Tu Jinglia's physical body and his flesh and blood splattering on the surface of the sea. 100 meters away, the Xianin patriarch, who was covered in black gas, stared at it without blinking. The visual impact of this scene was extremely strong. Old Ghostly, Ji Haisheng, and Tao Wanru all sucked in a cold breath of air and subconsciously stepped back, distancing themselves from the two of them. Perfect timing. How will Kong Xian deal with the appearance of the Xianin patriarch? Ji Haisheng sent a mental voice transmission to Tao Wanru as he retreated. He's half a step away from the primordial spirit realm. I'm afraid the Xianin patriarch's strength has already reached its peak. We just don't know if his lifespan has reached its end. If it has, it's still unknown how much power the Xianin patriarch can unleash, Tao Wanru replied via mental voice transmission. Heh, that depends on how long our martial sage Kong can last. Ji Haixing chuckled through a mental voice transmission. If he can last 3 minutes against a peak soul formation cultivator while being in the soul fixation, it will be enough to make him famous throughout the world. Tao Wanru suddenly thought of something and said through mental voice transmission, Brother Ji, do you think Kong Xian has also stepped into the soul formation realm? Impossible. Ji Haixing immediately denied the possibility. That's impossible, it's unrealistic. It's already monstrous enough that he has entered the soul fixation realm. If he is now in the soul formation realm, then, is he still human? At the end, Ji Haixing subconsciously lowered his voice to the lowest. He didn't want to believe it. Tao Wanru didn't want to believe it either, but her subconscious told her that Kong Xian's realm wasn't just soul fixation. In that case, wouldn't that mean soul formation? In midair, a ray of red light shot out from the black mist and scanned Su Jingxing's essence soul. You're very young, but your essence soul body has already reached the soul fixation realm. I'm curious, whose legacy did you inherit? Legacy? Su Jingxing's essence soul counter-questioned indifferently, old fellow, you were able to establish the Xianin sect because you inherited someone's legacy. As for being scanned and determined to be in the soul fixation realm by the Xianin patriarch, Su Jingxing's essence soul knew very well that the Thunder Dragon bone armor had neutralized half of the energy. Ha, you reacted quickly. That's right, I inherited the legacy of an ancient primordial spirit expert. But soon, I'll surpass him, the Xianin patriarch replied. His tone was very calm, but the aura he exuded was a rushing torrent. It was as if there was no end to it. Like seawater, it drowned the sky and crushed the surface of the sea. Tao Wanru, Old Ghostly, and Ji Haixing, who had retreated far away, felt as if an invisible mountain was weighing down on them. It was difficult for them to even catch their breath. Yet, Su Jingxing's essence soul did not even blink. It stared at the Xianin patriarch and smiled. Old fellow, you're very confident, huh? Of course. The Xianin patriarch also smiled. If I wasn't confident, why would I establish the Xianin sect and destroy your nation? Boom! The air exploded. The Xianin patriarch's body suddenly distorted as black light shone brightly. Then, light shot out from his palms. The beams of light formed from soul power spun in the air. Suddenly, roar! A snarl that resembled a dragon's roar sounded. A black dragon that bared its fangs and brandished its claws suddenly appeared out of thin air. It ran up and down around the Xianin patriarch ancestor in the sky, roaring. The black dragon was more than 50 meters long. Its whiskers, eyes, and scales were lifelike. As it dashed about, an overwhelming and fearsome aura spread. Boundless suppression fused together and descended from the sky, forming an almost corporeal transparent energy barrier that covered the area within a radius of 10,000 meters. Tao Wanru, Ji Haixing, and Old Ghostly retreated once again after sensing it. This is martial art true intent? No, it's a power evolved from the soul that's a step further than martial art true intent. Su Jingxing's essence soul was slightly interested. Unfortunately, it's useless to me. Swish. 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 The Nine Souls ring was released and danced in the air. Under the control of his will, it charged towards the black dragon in the sky. Swoosh. The ring tore through the air. Roar. Roar. A dragon's roar shook the sky. The soul power black dragon roared and swooped down from the sky. Halfway through, it collided head-on with the Nine Souls ring. Immediately. Boom. The tremor was muffled like thunder. In midair, all the airflow was stirred and shot out violently. The Nine Souls ring that was suffused with a fiery red glow spiraled and danced, clashing violently with the berserk soul power black dragon. With every collision, dazzling light shot out. The shockwave spread in all directions. Everywhere it passed, the air disintegrated inch by inch. A violent wind stirred up on the surface of the sea and swept through the distant sky. A large amount of seawater flew into the air and turned into mist that rose and enveloped a radius of thousands of meters. Ha! In the sky, the Xianin patriarch, who was still wrapped in black gas, let out a low shout. He quickly formed seals with his hands and pressed down hard on Su Jingxing's essence soul. Roar! The soul power black dragon that was crazily capturing the 9 souls ring suddenly roared at the sky, its body glowing brightly. The speed at which it swung its claws and opened its mouth suddenly soared. In the next moment, it suddenly swung its tail. With a dull thud, it struck the dancing 9 souls ring, sending it flying to the right like a broken kite and into the distance. With a thought, Su Jingxing's essence soul controlled the 9 souls ring to fly back and put it into the soul space. The next moment, circulating the Tiangang demon suppression hand to its limits, it released a sky full of white light that tore through the air towards the Xianin patriarch. Swish! 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 In an instant, countless white light orbs circled around the black dragon. A series of strange sounds could be heard. In less than 3 seconds, the soul power black dragon was sliced apart and turned into nothing. In the sky, the black energy around the Xianin patriarch suddenly swayed and dissipated, revealing his figure. His wrinkled old face was flushed red. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Defeated? Defeated. The Xianin patriarch, who was a semi-step primordial spirit, was actually defeated. For a time, the sky and ground were dead silent. Ji Haixing's mouth fell open, and his face was blank. He looked at Su Jingxing's essence soul with nothing but shock. This Yunation's martial sage had completely exceeded his expectations. Not only did he not die in the hands of the Xianin patriarch, he even turned around and defeated him. Was he still King normal person? The Xianin patriarch was an expert who was half a step away from the primordial spirit realm. It had been at least 30 years, if not 50 since he stepped into the soul formation realm. Such an expert who could be ranked in the top 10 on Earth Star was actually defeated by Su Jingxing's essence soul with one move. Ji Haixing was so shocked that he could not speak. Old Ghostly and Tao Wanru were equally stunned. It's not soul fixation. Kong Xian is above that. He's in the soul formation realm. Tao Wanru shouted inwardly. Her guess had come true. Kong Xian was really in the soul formation realm. In midair, the Xianin patriarch, who had revealed himself, took a deep breath. His turbid eyes that were suffused with a sharp light suddenly became sharp. They were like sharp blades that flickered with a cold light as they stared fixedly at Su Jingxing's essence soul. Good, very good. I admit that I was wrong. You're actually also in the soul formation realm. The Xianin patriarch's cold voice sounded in the air. Thank you for the compliment. Su Jingxing's essence soul remained calm and said indifferently, You're also very impressive to be able to live for so long. However, I'm very curious. How did you survive until today? Hiding in a turtle shell? Hee hee. The Xianin patriarch sneered. What a sharp-tongued little beast. His eyes gradually turned bloodshot as his cold voice resounded through the sky and ground. A soul formation cultivator before the age of 100. I have to say that you're indeed formidable, little beast. In my 300 years of life, I haven't met many people who can compare to you. But the Xianin patriarch's tone suddenly changed and instantly became high-spirited. However, your achievements will end here. Today, you will meet your death. As soon as he finished speaking, the soul power around the Xianin patriarch gathered. His middle finger and index finger were held together. He pointed at Su Jingxing's essence soul and tapped. Buzz. The air suddenly vibrated. A large amount of invisible aura was guided by a strange force and gathered at the tips of his middle and index fingers. They condensed into strands of dazzling golden light that bloomed in the sky. Swish. 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 Streams of light danced. As wisps of golden light danced, space seemed to have frozen. Great dark heavenly yin finger. Buzz. The air shook. Ripples suddenly appeared in the space around the old fellow's middle finger and index finger. Whoosh. 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 The sound of flowing water spread silently. Enveloped by wisps of swirling light, a brilliant iridescent light shot out from the tips of his middle and index fingers. The iridescent light took on a golden color and was as thick as a chopstick. As soon as it bloomed, it pierced through everything. Space disintegrated inch by inch like broken glass. Like a sharp sickle, it forcefully cut out a golden gap under the sky. At the end, it struck Su Jingxing's essence soul. Clang! It was as if a huge bell had been struck. The sound of metal clashing and ringing reverberated through the air for hundreds of miles. However, the surging sea surface was suppressed by a terrifying and boundless force, and the entire sea surface became concave. With Su Jingxing's essence soul as the center, the sea surface within the radius of thousands of meters caved in a hemispherical arc. Half of this sphere suppressed the seawater and half compressed the air. A huge spherical space that connected the sky and the ground appeared. The center of it was Su Jingxing's essence soul. In front of Su Jingxing's essence soul, a transparent piece of jade that was half the height of a person floated in the air, blocking the terrifying attack from the Xianing Patriarch. The great dark heavenly yin finger. Tu Anbang's cultivation progress was not very good, but the Xianing Patriarch had at least cultivated this soul skill to perfection. In fact, he had even reached the threshold of the peak of perfection. Coupled with the eruption of soul power from the soul formation realm, it was basically impossible to block with the defense of the Thunder Dragon bone armor. But the Red Dragon's reverse scale was different. This reverse scale from the Red Dragon was indestructible, and its defense was not something the Thunder Dragon bone armor could compare to. After Su Jingxing refined it, he expanded and shrunk it as he wished. A second ago, he had taken it out from his soul space and used it as a shield. As expected, it easily blocked the Xianing Patriarch's full-powered attack. In addition, the Red Dragon reverse scale was even vaguely absorbing this energy. However, Su Jingxing's essence soul did not probe further. After blocking the attack, before the metallic ringing could stop, Su Jingxing's essence soul launched a counterattack. Firmament Nirvana Palm. Soul power of the soul formation realm was also mobilized at full speed to execute this 5-star battle technique. Boom! A materialized giant palm imprint appeared out of thin air above the Xianing Patriarch's head. As the terrifying palm strike descended, space shattered inch by inch, crushing everything. The Xianing Patriarch's expression changed drastically. He wanted to escape, but he realized that the entire void had been sealed. No! Startled, terrified, and indignant cries resounded through the sky. Unable to dodge, the Xianing Patriarch let out a sharp scream and crazily struck the descending giant palm imprint. The red earth heart-splitting claw, the great dark heavenly yin finger, and the strange power evolved from the soul poured out, wanting to resolve the danger. Unfortunately, none of them worked. Beneath the giant palm, all the attacks disintegrated and dissipated into nothing. In the end, the Xianing Patriarch was drowned. Card +1. The light dissipated, and the void regained its stability. The surging sea surface also slowly calmed down. However, the Xianing Patriarch had disappeared. Gulp. In the distance, Ji Haixing subconsciously swallowed his saliva. Shock was written all over his frightened face. Dead? The Xianing Patriarch, who was almost a primordial spirit expert, died just like that? With a single palm strike, a dignified semi-step primordial spirit was directly wiped out. Is Kong Xian's realm beyond the soul formation realm? Bang! Bang! Tao Wanru's heart raced. She looked at Kong Xian in the air with fear in her eyes. Amazing, simply too terrifying. Killing the Xianin patriarch with a single palm strike. This martial sage of the Yu nation wasn't a primordial spirit, was he? Old Ghostly was also puzzled and in disbelief. Perhaps Kong Xian could defeat the Xianin patriarch, but the process definitely wouldn't be easy. Unless one of them was a primordial spirit. Otherwise, such an existence who could kill an existence in the same realm with one palm strike wouldn't be human at all. Even though they were shocked by the might of the one palm strike from Su Jingxing's essence soul, the main reason was because of Kong Xian's realm. It was unknown how powerful the firmament nirvana palm itself was. 5-star battle techniques had never appeared on Earth Star. The great Xiantianin finger executed by the Xianin patriarch and Tu Wanbang was at most 3-star. The difference between 3-star and 5-star battle techniques was unimaginable for those who had never cultivated them. In fact, the best effect of the firmament nirvana palm was spiritual essence. For example, Su Jingxing's main body had killed a third-realm devil general with 3 palm strikes on the 7 luminaries planet. The power unleashed by Su Jingxing's essence soul using soul power was far inferior. Even so, it could still kill the Xianin patriarch with 1 palm strike. After the old fellow's essence soul was successfully killed, there was still his physical body. Su Jingxing's essence soul circulated the 6 comets records to deduce the location of the Xianin patriarch's physical body. Soon, it received the information and adjusted its body. It turned around and flew in the direction of the Xianin Islands. He left. In the distance, Tao Wanru asked curiously, that direction. It's the Xianin Islands. He's really going to the headquarters of the Xianin sect. Ji Haixing said in a low voice, looks like this Kong Xian is determined to destroy the entire Xianin sect. Let's go. How can we not witness such a major event with our own eyes? With that, Ji Haixing's figure flashed as he also crossed through space and hurried towards Xianin Islands. It's indeed worth witnessing with my own eyes, Tao Wanru murmured and followed behind. Old Ghostly flew through the air in silence. The relationship between the 4 major overseas factions was not harmonious. Only the Xiaoyao Palace and the World's End Court had a good relationship. To Ji Haixing and Tao Wanru, if the Azura Palace and the Xianin sect could disappear, they would be overjoyed. They traversed more than 20 miles in the blink of an eye. Above an island on the periphery of the Xianin Islands, Su Jingxing's essence soul appeared and sensed the exact location of the Xianin patriarch's physical body. It did not find anything. The old fellow's aura did not leak out at all. Su Jingxing's essence soul could not lock onto it with the 6 comets records. It could only confirm that he was on an island. But the Xianin Islands consisted of more than 200 islands of all sizes on, so how could it know which one he was on? It couldn't possibly search every island, could it? Who knew how long it would take to search every island? Su Jingxing's essence soul could not be out for a long time. It still had to return to the void world to guard it. If the Xianin patriarch was not completely eliminated, the risk of future troubles would be too great. For a moment, Su Jingxing's essence soul hesitated and frowned in thought. At a certain moment, its eyes lit up and it came up with a plan. Without another word, it directly released his divine power, command the winds and fire. It condensed in the air and spread to the island below. Destroying a faction like the Xianin sect would only make people happy, not resentful. That's right, Su Jingxing's essence soul had thought of a very simple solution. Destroy the Zuian sect and force the physical body of the Xianin patriarch out here. Whether it was consuming spiritual essence or soul power, destroying more than 200 islands of various sizes one by one would exhaust it. Divine powers were different. There was no consumption, and the range was large. As soon as command the winds and fire appeared, strong winds mixed with scorching flames appeared out of thin air. Hoo! 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 Boom! 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 Strong winds swept and flames raged. The wind aided the fire, and the fire aided the wind. Strong winds and big fires turned into raging winds and raging flames. The terrifying might of wind and fire began from the periphery islands and spread all the way to cover one island after another. When Tao Wanru, Ji Haisheng, and Old Ghostly arrived through space, the scene that appeared in their vision was that of the entire Xianying Islands already turning into a sea of fire. What secret ability is this? Tao Wanru's mouth fell open in shock. Or rather, a soul skill. It's neither a soul skill, a secret ability, nor a martial art. Ji Haisheng's gaze was like a torch as he scanned the winds and flames that filled the sky. He said in a deep voice, "This power is very similar to the legendary divine powers." Divine powers? Tao Wanru's mouth opened even wider, her face filled with shock. Big Brother Ji, are you sure? Kong Xian executed a divine power. A legendary divine power that only immortals possess. I can't be 100% sure. Ji Haisheng glanced around and smiled wryly. I've never seen a divine power before. It's just that the description in the ancient records is a little similar to the scene before us. Well, Tao Wanru opened her mouth but no words came out. Although Old Ghostly was listening to their conversation, he chose to remain silent. In terms of foundation, the three factions were similar. They had existed for thousands of years and each owned ancient manuals. They contained a lot of information about the ancient times. This was also the reason why they stood tall and untouched overseas and did not decline for so many years. Every faction had transcendent grade experts. 4 to 5 at most, and 1 or 2 at least. On land, which sect or faction would have so many transcendent grade experts? The reason was because there were more fights on land, and they were frequent. Establishing a foundation overseas to preserve their foundation while watching the changes on land and advancing and retreating at any time was the confidence that had been passed down until now. Even so, none of them had seen a divine power before. The power of divine powers had been severed and disappeared since ancient times. Although in the legends of Earth Star, immortals referred to the primordial spirit realm, Tao Wanru, Ji Haisheng, and Old Ghostly knew that the primordial spirit realm did not possess divine powers. The legends were just exaggerated. However, at this moment, the scene of the Xianying Islands burning reminded Ji Haisheng of the legendary divine powers. Tao Wanru was shocked and horrified. Old Ghostly was silent and bewildered. If the violent winds and flames in their vision were really due to the might of a divine power, wouldn't that mean that Kong Xian had grasped a divine power? Not only was the great martial sage Kong in the soul formation realm, he also grasped a divine power. Silence. Horrifying. Tremors. Be it Ji Haisheng, Tao Wanru, or Old Ghostly, for a time, the three of them were stunned speechless. In the sky. Su Jingxing's essence soul scanned the Xianying Islands with the Thunder Dragon vision. Under the divine power, command the winds and fire, the roaring power of wind and fire destroyed all the buildings on more than 200 islands. Even the mountains were sliced off. All the disciples of the Xianying sect died, and cards were constantly extracted. Raging flames filled every corner of the island under the strong wind. No matter which cave they were hiding in, or in the corners, as long as the wind could reach them, it would destroy them and burn the people inside to death. Even if they hid underground, they would still be threatened by the ground being scraped and collapsing. Naturally, the experts of the Xianying sect would not sit idly by and watch such a catastrophe. Martial artists in the top ranks soared into the sky and used their martial arts to try to resist. Unfortunately, whenever one of them rushed up, Su Jingxing's essence soul would kill one. Even against first-grade experts who had condensed a divine embryo, Su Jingxing's essence soul would still release sword-shaped beams of light to kill them. Cards were extracted and stored in the soul space. Soaring into the sky spelled death. Soon, no one rushed into the sky anymore. Instead, they chose to enter the sea and escape through the water. This method was indeed difficult for Su Jingxing's essence soul to counter in a short period of time. Command the winds and fire was only a minor divine power. For the time being, it could not stir the sea, or heat the seawater to evaporate it. Su Jingxing's essence soul thought for a moment and let the disciples who escaped through the water go. As long as they weren't in the transcendent grade, their threat to the Yu nation was limited. With the fusion of the Yu nation and the new Chu nation, there was now a large group of top-ranked experts. In the current Xianin sect, the physical body of the Xianin patriarch was the biggest threat. After killing this old thing, Su Jingxing's essence soul would stop. To its surprise, this patriarch was determined to hide. The disciples on the various islands let out miserable screams repeatedly, but the patriarch's physical body did not even leak out a trace of his aura. Clearly, the Xianin patriarch was ignoring the deaths of his disciples. Compared to his own safety, the Xianin patriarch couldn't be bothered with the fate of others. The old thing was extremely cold-blooded. The problem was that if the old fellow refused to appear, Su Jingxing's essence soul wouldn't be able to do anything to him. What to do? Give up directly, or destroy all the islands? Su Jingxing's essence soul could not stay out for a long time. It had to take care of this matter as quickly as possible. It was unwilling to give up, but destroying all the islands would consume too much energy. Even if it exhausted its soul power, it probably wouldn't be able to destroy all 200 islands. No. Suddenly, Su Jingxing's essence soul thought of a trump card and its eyes flashed. So be it. After some thought, Su Jingxing's essence soul decided to give it a try. Swoosh! In a flash, it arrived at the end of the Xianin Islands. Then, it took out the red dragon's reverse scale and controlled it with its mind to release a shockwave. Evil energy sweep. Chi! Boom! A dazzling fiery red light beam suddenly burst forth and struck the island from the sky. Then, it controlled the red dragon's reverse scale to move the scarlet light beam diagonally, starting from the island at the end and moving towards the inner islands. Boom! 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 A shocking bang resounded non-stop. The evil energy shockwave moved from one island to another. The terrifying force sliced each island into two on the spot and it exploded instantly, turning into countless pieces of rubble that flew everywhere with the seawater. As the evil energy swept across the seawater between the islands, a vacuum appeared. All the seawater evaporated and disappeared. Boom! 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 The tremors reverberated through the air. Chi! Chi! Bang! 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 Deafening explosions sounded one after another. The force produced by the island's explosions stirred up a large area of spatial airflow, turning it into a quagmire. Within the range of the shockwave, the air was like a boiling pool, rolling endlessly. Pelch! 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 Whoosh! 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 The seawater boiled. Under the shockwave, huge water screens rose one after another. They were like snakes and dragons, howling through the air as they moved towards the left and right sides of the Xianin Islands. Boom! Boom! Collapse, collapse, collapse. The islands exploded and collapsed. The disciples of the Xianin sect who were hiding underground and avoiding the divine power a moment ago were all dead now. Even those who attempted to escape through the seawater could not dodge in time and were struck by the aftershocks. They would either die or be severely injured. Above the 200-odd islands, Su Jingxing's essence soul controlled the red dragon's reverse scale. It only made 2 trips in the air before all the islands were swept by the evil energy, exploded and collapsed. When the last island sank, the Xianin patriarch's physical body was finally forced out. He dived into the sea, escaping into the depths. Found you. Su Jingxing's essence soul, which was trembling and red-eyed, growled. Controlling the red dragon's reverse scale, the evil energy shot into the sea. Chi! Chi! Boom! The terrifying beam of light pierced through the seawater and tore through everything. In less than 2 seconds, it struck the Xianing patriarch's body. Before the old fellow could scream, he was vaporized. After taking care of its target, Su Jingxing's essence soul forcefully put the red dragon's reverse scale back into its soul space with its powerful will. Then, it headed straight for the surface of the sea and extracted a card. Finally, it crossed space and quickly rushed back to the Unation. Along the way, it kept crossing space, again and again. During this process, its body trembled even more violently. Its eyes were red and it kept snarling. When it returned to the Unation, it directly returned to the void world and sat cross-legged on the ground. It circulated vast ocean to neutralize the violent and raging evil energy in its mind. Evil energy sweep, evil energy sweep. If it wasn't evil, how could it be called evil energy? That's right, Su Jingxing had refined the red dragon's reverse scale, but not the terrifying energy inside. Vast ocean could absorb and refine this energy, but it would do so bit by bit. However, when Su Jingxing executed evil energy sweep and released this energy, he would inevitably be invaded. Invaded by evil energy. Moreover, it went straight to his brain, provoking Su Jingxing to go crazy. He wanted to destroy, kill, and annihilate wantonly. If one's soul power and will were not strong enough, one would be completely implicated after releasing the attack once and become a killing machine. Su Jingxing wouldn't use this killing move until the last moment. If not to force the Xianing patriarch out, Su Jingxing's essence soul would not have used it no matter what. The longer the evil energy was released, the longer the duration it would be invaded by the evil energy, and the more serious the impact. Su Jingxing's essence soul trembled. Its eyes were red, a sign that it had been affected. This was also the reason why it had returned to the Unation without stopping after taking care of the Xianing patriarch. It had to return as soon as possible and circulate vast ocean to neutralize it. This self-created ultimate technique combined all the martial arts that Su Jingxing had seen and cultivated. Rather than dissolving the evil energy, it was more like restraining it. Vast ocean spiritual essence countered demonic energy, evil energy, and other powers. The essence soul's body did not have vast ocean spiritual essence, so it could only be neutralized. It expended his soul power to disperse it bit by bit. Using its powerful willpower, it controlled itself to keep from being affected by the intrusion of evil energy and slowly dissolved it. Just like that, time passed. Unation. The capital and Qingtian city. In the central hall that was constantly monitored. Guan Zhonghua, Luo Xiangong, Luo Shan, and the other cabinet members waited anxiously for the results. There were 3 outcomes. The first was a battle over the internet, the second was an invasion by the barbarians of the Luori prefecture, and the third and most important was a battle between martial sages. Guan Zhonghua and the others had not forgotten that the invasion of the Unation this time was an attempt by a large faction to kill the current martial sage and replace him as the new kingdom defending martial sage. Internet battles and barbarian invasions were much less important compared to battles between martial sages. If the martial sage lost, no one knew what their future would be like. Just like in the previous New Chu nation, the Xiang family dominated and implemented a policy of coercion in the country. The officials under them were simply puppets. Guan Zhonghua and Luo Xiangong did not want to live like that. Losing their positions was a small matter, what they feared was losing their lives. Who knew? With the new martial sage in power and the faction behind the scenes appearing, would they make an example out of them? Therefore, Guan Zhonghua, Luo Xiangong, Luo Shan, and the others hoped more than anyone else that the current martial sage, Kong Xian, would win. Unfortunately, after such a long time, there was still no news from Marshal Sage Kong. The confrontation on the internet was under control though. Now, the government had the upper hand, forcing the mastermind to retreat repeatedly. Organizations, companies, and research institutes were constantly taking back control. As for the barbarians in front of Sunset Cliff. Boom! 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 In the vast wilderness in front of Sunset Cliff, countless shells flew over from the sky and behind. They streaked across the sky and landed on the ground, killing groups after groups of barbarians. Not long after the development of firearms, the barbarians were forced to retreat to the boundless mountain range. Now, the various long-range shells and missiles were even more terrifying and affected a larger area. There was no need for the soldiers to swarm up and occupy advantageous terrain. It wouldn't be too late to clean up the battlefield after the shells washed the ground. For decades, other than small-scale battles had breaking out from time to time in the Golden Sparrow Mountain Basin, there had been no wars at the other borders. Therefore, during this barbarian invasion, all kinds of firearms that had been accumulated for decades were poured out crazily like they did not cost money. From the moment the battle began, the shells never stopped. The wilderness in front of Sunset Cliff had long been blasted full of holes. Behind them, reinforcements from the other prefectures were pouring in. All kinds of weapons were flying towards Lori Prefecture on transport planes. Under such circumstances, the barbarians rushed out of the mountain range in batches, but before any of them could reach Sunset Cliff, they were torn into pieces and died. Ha, don't these beasts know how powerful shells are? So many have died, yet they're still sending more out. On a peak at Sunset Cliff, in the temporary command center. A martial artist in a long robe looked at the image captured by the remote drone and shook his head with a smile. Don't be careless. Beside him, an old man who was also wearing a long robe said in a deep voice, the barbarians have been collecting the news of the various countries all these years. They definitely have some understanding of modern firearms. It's impossible for them to be entirely ignorant.